This time is different. I genuinely believe that. I don't know exactly the pace that this is going to happen at, but we're seeing the first full-blown financial crisis in decades, or about a decade and a half. Certainly the first one in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency's life. And that means that for the first time ever, we have the ability to opt out. And so today, just days after the first banking failure in the United States in nearly 15 years, we've gotten a Sunday press release from the Fed, a Sunday update. Now, while we have seen Sunday updates in the past, the last one of note was March 2020. That was, of course, the COVID response. Now, Arthur Hayes, who was essentially the author, the architect of the strategy that was to completely hold off while the Fed was making money more expensive and get ready to, quote, back the truck up once the risk on climate returned, has said it's all over. This is what happens when no one wants to hold USD in banks that can borrow from the Fed using Bank Term Funding Program, BTFP. This is effectively the way that this $2 trillion worth of quantitative easing is making its way into the economy. Not sure how the Fed can hike when it's handing out dollars to its peers. And here we see Fed and global central banks move to boost dollar funding. Central banks will boost the frequency of swap line operations. They say the step will help shield economies from the funding strain. AKA, we're giving out money. We're going to make sure that this banking crisis is contained. Well, what happened last time they contained a crisis with just free money? This happened. We went from about $5,000 BTC up to $69,000, roughly thereabout. Let's just make it easy math and call it a 14x. Now, history doesn't repeat itself, but it sure as heck rhymes. Let's just say if we 14x'd from really where the crisis began, Bitcoin was trading at about 20,000 bucks. That would put us at $280,000 Bitcoin. Now, please excuse my moon boy math, but this is going to be a very weird time in history. The first time that we've ever seen a true financial crisis, smelled a financial crisis, had fear in the streets, and had an option to do something else. Now, of course, this is also the first time that there's been this level of assault, of negativity, of complete attack happening on the crypto ecosystem. Do I know exactly how the cookie's gonna crumble? I do not. But I will say that this is one of those times where the asymmetric risk to reward seems to make sense to me. Again, I'm going to be allocating across not just Bitcoin, but a lot of the altcoins that I love. I will be making a lot of content on this, but I have a very clear message for you right now, which is that this time is different. And it feels as though there's a lot of evidence to suggest that this Fed crisis is only just beginning. This is the first layer of the onion. As Pompier says, the first thing you must do during a financial crisis is recognize that a crisis is underway. Now, of course, Arthur Hayes claims that Bitcoin equals $1 million, and this is the beginning of the cut. My moon boy math of 280,000 is nothing compared to this $1 million price point. We have Bitcoin hash rate hitting all-time highs. Casually here, as Will Clemente explains. We have here the Fed's own recession model predicting the highest odds of recession in 30 years. So how exactly is the Fed going to keep making things harder on the economy? They simply cannot. They'll force a recession, and then they'll have to fix that too. And what tool, pray tell, do you think that they're going to use to fix that recession, to fix this banking crisis, to fix anything? It's going to be the same tool. Print more money and effectively devalue the dollars in our pocket. That omelet in the morning is gonna be the biggest flex on Instagram because ain't nobody gonna be able to afford that. More to the point, as Balaji says here, remember the Fed did this. They caused the banks to be insolvent. They didn't tell you, the depositors, and now they're printing money to cover it, vertically so, like a scene out of Independence Day. Here you can see visually represented what's going on with the discount window borrowing in the trillions. Here you can see the COVID crash. It's just a little blip here, and you can see that this discount window borrowing has exceeded the great financial crisis already. This video about says it all. Here's the Fed fighting inflation by printing more money. Look, as with all things, this is going to be a bumpy ride. This is not a free ride. This is an extreme commitment. If you want to bet on crypto, you got to be prepared to effectively risk absolutely every dime you have. There is no free ride. You're going to be under attack by the news headlines, by the banks, by the governments, by literally every possible angle. And if you believe that this stuff is valuable like I do, then you have a chance to ride this up. But you have to be willing to deal with the potential of a complete loss. This is not amateur hour, and this is not the time to tell everyone you know to buy Bitcoin. This is between you and a higher power here. I believe the bat signal is flashing in the sky right now. I believe that the signs are there to at least be allocating to this asset class, specifically Bitcoin. But we all know with Bitcoin comes a rampaging alt season. A lot of the altcoins that are on my list have already been performing really well, and I'm excited to start sharing them with you. But I'm going to make it very clear in each episode, this is not free money. This is not easy money. This is probably the hardest money you'll ever make, but it is at the very least a chance to opt out of a clearly broken financial system. And for that, you've got to be at least a little excited. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to put the bell on, set notifications to all, and make sure to watch this video popping up right here. It's even better than the one you just watched. I'm EllioTrades, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.